Hello everyone, welcome to MMA Midnight. I'm your host Shant Yeretzian, and this is our post-fight special for UFC 229, Conor versus Khabib. What a main event, a great fight. A lot of craziness that took place after the fight, inside the cage and outside. So we're going to cover all of that. Let's get started with the actual fight first, and then we'll cover all the craziness after. In the first round, Conor came out pressuring. Khabib went for the takedown. He didn't really waste much time. Conor was doing a good job defending for a little while, but it just seemed like he was gassing himself out. He was working really hard. He was doing well, but it didn't last. Khabib was keeping the pressure on him. He got the takedown. He was controlling him for the first round. Khabib did really well with his wrestling in that first round. Very impressive. By the end of the first round, Conor was already breathing with his mouth open, heavy breathing, going back to his corner. Second round, Conor came out aggressive. Within like the first 10 seconds, he tried to throw like the teep to the stomach, a flying knee, a Superman punch. Like he was trying everything, and yeah, he ended up getting caught with an overhand right by Khabib. Khabib looked like he was going to shoot and then came over with the overhand right. That was something I said in the preview show that Chad Mendes had luck with. He ended up catching Conor a couple times with the overhand right when Conor thought he was going for a takedown. So very smart by Khabib to pick up on that. He dropped him with an overhand right in the second round. He got a lot of good ground and pound in the second round as well. It looked like he was almost going to get like a referee stoppage. He was landing so much, and Conor wasn't really doing anything. Yeah, good second round as well. The third and fourth round, you could see Conor in the third round. He looked a little better, but it was still kind of Khabib just dominating. Yeah, in the fourth round, Khabib did really well. He ended up getting the positioning he wanted, ended up getting the rear naked choke to finish Conor. Great performance by Khabib. He dominated. His ground game looked amazing. The way he passed and controlled, and the pressure he was putting. He was really heavy on Conor. Yeah, a lot of fouls on Conor's part during this fight, from grabbing the cage multiple times. He kept holding Khabib's glove. And that fourth round near the ending sequence, he was like grabbing the gloves a lot. I believe it was the last round he was doing that. He kept grabbing Khabib's glove. Yeah, a lot of fouls, and I'm upset with Herb Dean for not calling them or giving warnings. It felt like he wasn't doing anything about it. Conor was holding onto the cage with his toes, his hands. Yeah, and that, I think it was the last time when Khabib was trying to pull him down from his back to the ground, like trying to drag him down. You see Conor trying to grab the cage, hold on to it. Herb Dean, I don't know what's happened with him. We know he had that CB Dalloway fight where he pretty much just let him get smashed, even though the dude wasn't defending himself. I'm real upset with Herb Dean about this. It's one thing, you don't have to take a point away, but at least warn the guy. It looked like he didn't even care that like Conor was committing fouls. I'm just tired of double standards, guys. Like, I'm not playing favorites to anyone. It needs to be called fair across the board. All right? If someone's doing a penalty, they just need to do it the right way and be consistent with it. If you're going to take a point away or you're going to give a warning, you have to do it for everyone. You can't let certain fighters, because they're a big name like Conor, get away with it. All right? That's just not cool. Herb, get your game together. I'm a fan of yours. I've met you before. Get your game together, man. Like, you're one of the best referees, if not the best referee now that John McCarthy is retired. Come on, man. Get it together. We need you to be the top of your game. So, a little disappointed with Herb Dean. Great performance by Khabib. He got the finish. He did really well dominating Conor. He had a great game plan. Like I said, from the takedowns to the overhand, he did really well. Okay, let's get started with what happened after the fight. All the craziness inside and outside the cage. After the fight, Khabib, I guess he was having some words with Dylan Dennis. Dylan Dennis was saying some stuff, so Khabib jumped the fence, jumped into the audience trying to go after Dylan Dennis. Luckily, I believe they were separated before anything happened. But then Conor clearly on top of the cage trying to go after Khabib, and one of Khabib's teammates is on top of the cage as well, and Conor throws a left hook right and lands right on his chin. That was very uncalled for by Conor. He's just instigating it. That's when Khabib's teammates ran into the cage from the audience. Conor shouldn't have thrown that punch. His paycheck should be withheld as well. I don't know why they're holding Khabib's paycheck and not Conor's, and why the Athletic Commission isn't going after Conor. I don't know why Joe Rogan and Dana White are all making Conor out to be the victim. Conor instigated this. He threw the first punch. Khabib shouldn't have gone out of the cage. I don't condone any of this action. I don't think any of this garbage belongs in the sport. But Conor threw that punch, and it just got even worse from there. Conor is an animal and can't contain his anger. He's a loser. And Dana White, your double standards are disgusting. UFC, your double standards are disgusting. Nevada State Athletic Commission, your double standards are disgusting. You guys play favorites, and it's a joke. You guys need to get it together. You need to be consistent, and you need to stop playing favorites to losers like Conor. That dude is trash, and he's spreading like a cancer. You can see it spreading to people like Khabib who don't do stuff like this normally. This dude is a joke. You need to flush him out, and you need to punish him when he does those stupid things like attacking people and attacking referees, attacking buses, jumping into the crowd. You need to punish him so other people don't do it and thinking it's okay, and they're not going to get punished for it. All right? Quit setting this double standard. You guys are a joke. It's a disgrace. You guys ruined a perfectly good evening of fights with all this BS, and on top of it, you guys can't even be honest about it. You guys are still playing politics. You guys are still playing favorites. Your double standards are gross and disgusting. This is a joke. Conor assaulting Khabib at the weigh-ins. He vigorously, violently smacked his hand. The same thing he did to Nate Diaz. He tried punching Nate Diaz's knuckle in their first fight at the weigh-ins. He was trying to damage his hand. He even tweeted something about it, I remember, like saying that like his hand will never be the same, this and that. What about Conor getting some assault charges? How about him almost killing some people, like 20 of his goons smashing windows of a bus? How about those dudes and idiots like Artem that are still in the UFC, or guys like the Mac Life who let those guys in and almost allowed that violence and, you know, stuff going on. This is a joke. UFC, you guys are a joke. You don't punish guys like Conor, but then you throw everyone else under the bus. You got Joe Rogan praising Conor the whole fight when Conor isn't doing anything. Come on. All right, he landed like 2 strikes, and Joe Rogan made it seem like the whole fight was like Conor was dominating. This is a joke. Nevada State Athletic Commission, I don't know what you're going to do, but you guys are probably going to throw the book at Khabib, even though you guys let Conor get away with everything. All right? This is a joke. The fight was amazing. Khabib had a great fight, but all the stuff afterwards, it is disgusting, like Dana White said. But at the same time, it's disgusting the way Dana White and the UFC treat the situations that Conor's involved in, and then how they act towards this. You need to be disgusted by all situations. I was disgusted when Conor jumped the cage in Bellator and attacked Mark Goddard. I was disgusted with the bus attack. All right? But just being disgusted with this isn't enough. You need to be bothered by all the other things that go on that lead up to stuff like this. All right? Especially from someone like Khabib who wants to keep his cool. Like, he was embarrassed. You could see Khabib was embarrassed he lost his cool. Like, he expects more from himself. Like, he was embarrassed. You think Conor was embarrassed at all the crap he does? That dude has no shame. That dude is pure garbage, all right? So, I don't know. The whole thing, the whole scene, it was ugly. It made the sport look terrible. You know, and Dana White going off the post-fight press conference saying it's the fight business, it's the fight business. They're going to take Khabib's money. They don't know if he's ever going to fight again. They might strip him. Come on, you don't do any of that to Conor, all right? You let Conor get away with murder, and you guys don't do anything to him, all right? Sick of the double standards. The UFC needs to get their game together. It's so obvious they're biased towards certain people. They need to fix that. It's not fair, and it's just, that's a disgrace. The way they act and treat things is a disgrace, too. Not just the ugly behavior that happens, and it ruins, you know, the image of the sport. It's also the way that it gets treated. You need to be consistent, and you need to be treated the right way throughout, okay? You can't just punish one person and then not punish the other. It has to be consistent. No more double standards, no more favoring stars like Conor and letting them get away with whatever, okay? You punish Khabib, you punish Conor. It's that simple, all right? Guys who get blacklisted from the UFC are never allowed back because, You know, Dana White doesn't personally like them, but other guys can do the same exact thing and they'll be still in the UFC. All right, fix this. All right, it's ugly. We had a great fight card, a lot of good fights on the card. The main event, it was an awesome performance by Khabib. You know, Conor gave it his best shot. It just, Khabib's strategy ended up working out better for him. Yeah, it's a shame that it had to end the way it did with all the stuff that went on inside and outside the cage, and then all the politics afterwards. That's not how it should be. I just don't want to see this in the sport. You know, like I said, I'm all about like I want the true martial arts in the sport to stand out. I feel like that gets lost more and more every day in MMA. Like that needs to be a big part of it, and it's up to the fans. You guys need to demand it, okay? Like, you guys, if you see certain behavior you don't approve of, you need to speak up about it. Don't be afraid of the UFC. The UFC, you're the consumer. They're gonna listen to you. All right? If you don't like guys that do certain things or act a certain way or talk a certain way, then you need to let it be heard. All right? I know a lot of people love the trash talk and all the lead up to it. You know, they just say it's selling fights, but you have to realize it's more than that. These are actual people's lives. Like I said, people's actual countries, religions. Like, a lot of people are getting offended. People are actually getting hurt, attacked on the bus. Like, Conor treats it like a game. Like, that's what happens when you turn it into like this game where like no rules and laws apply. You know, it becomes the wild, wild west, and we saw it tonight. You guys created the Wild West, and now everyone's just gonna act however they want. You know, Khabib's just like, oh, whatever. His teammates jumping into the cage. Oh, we can do whatever we want. Conor just made it okay to run around with your teammates and just cause havoc. Like, he made it okay, and this is what happens. So we need to step up as fans. We need to let the UFC know we're not going to tolerate this behavior. They use it as promos. They hype the fights. If you guys don't want to see it, just say so. But don't crucify one fighter and not the other when they act the same way. It's not fair. No more double standards. Everyone needs to be held accountable for their actions at the same level. No one getting favoritism because they're a bigger star or, you know, whatever. So we need to have that fixed. It's a big problem in the sport. Like I said, there's a lot of people that, you know, they lean to one side more than the other, and that's only natural, but we need to be aware of it and we need to speak up about it, okay? So thank you guys for joining me for the post-fight show. It was, like I said, great night of fights, great main event. It's too bad what happened afterwards, but leave your comments and feedback in the comments section on the video, and I'll read into it. Interested to hear what you guys have to say. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and stay tuned this week for another episode. And also, we'll be previewing the Bellator Heavyweight Grand Prix tournament fights coming up. Thank you. Bye.